possibly they're having one or two networks. So today we'll be considering asset management. So I think everybody, you have to mute yourself now. I can still hear somebody speaking on the. Please let everybody just mute their speakers. Oh, which one?
There are more people still joining.
Okay.
So they can start with introduction.
Okay.
Introduce themselves and start.
Yeah, so can we just one by one start introduce ourselves? I think I'll start from Mr. Awe Taufik. Mr. Awe, please, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please?
Good evening. My name is Awe Taufik. I work
Okay.
at air contractors in Lagos.
Okay. Mr. Tosin Adedoyin. Okay, let Mr. Chris introduce himself, please.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Ono. Calling from joining from Port Harcourt.
Okay, where are you working currently, Mr. Chris?
I'm working with an oil Self Limited.
You work as a facility manager, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay, fantastic. Ms. Oluwayemisi. Okay, Mr. Ibrahim Abiodun.
My name is Ibrahim Abiodun Bello from Lagos.
Okay. Where are you working currently, Mr. Abiodun?
I'm working as a marketer at Nasir Stores Limited.
Okay, fantastic. Mr. Chimeze, over to you, sir.
Yes, my name is Chimeze Orisakwe, a facility maintenance engineer. I work with Central Utilities Limited at Ocean Parade Towers in Banana Island. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're much welcome. Mr. John. Mr. John Adekunle.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mr. John.
My name is Adekunle John. I work with Brad Rock Real Estate Limited as the facility and admin manager from Lekki, Lagos.
Okay, very good. Welcome, Mr. John. Mr. Anthony. Mr. Anthony, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Anthony. Okay, Mr. Kingsley Opara, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. My name is Kingsley Opara. I work with Bosella as the facility manager.
Okay. You're almost bearing the same name with one of my friends. It's just only that his own is Simon Opara. So I want to believe you're also from Benue.
No, from Imo State.
Good afternoon, sir.
But my wife is from Benue State.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mr. Emmanuel Igwaba, please, can you try to introduce yourself, sir?
Okay, good evening. My name is Igwaba Emmanuel.
Okay.
I work as facility officer for SACO.
Okay. Okay. You're welcome, Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Victor Chukwuemeka Osage. I hope I pronounced that name very well.
Yeah, you pronounced it well. Good evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Before you start charging me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chukwuemeka Osage. I work as the facility supervisor at the Flixit facility at Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. You're welcome, sir. Mr. Mayowa Utola.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayowa.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Clearly, sir.
All right, sir. This is Mayowa Guntola, and I'm presently a teacher. I'm just coming into facility management.
Management, okay.
Management. Thank you.
You're much welcome. Is there anybody that has not introduced him or herself?
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Good afternoon, sir.
I can hear you clearly. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Mr. Ifanya. My name is Mr. Ifanya Anthony Alabua.
Okay, sir.
A facility manager with Adema.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. I want to believe we've all introduced ourselves. Somebody just join us now, Mr. Toby. Mr. Toby, can you please introduce yourself? Mr. Emeka, please go ahead. Mr. Emeka. Mr. Emeka, please go ahead. Okay, in case we couldn't get Mr. Emeka, can Mr. Wine Opama introduce himself to us?
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Wayne, right? Is it Wayne or Wine?
Wayne, W-Y-N-E, Wayne.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So, pardon my pronunciation, please.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. I work as an automobile technician.
Okay.
So, at Ikeja.
Okay.
So, is there any other thing you would love to know?
The only thing we'd like to know is at the end of this lecture, you should be able to tell us what you have learned, how the lecture has added into your facility management knowledge.
Okay. I joined last week, but what I learned last week was all about maintenance, different kind of maintenance, preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, which is run to failure and predictive maintenance. Run to failure is allow the equipment or facility to get broken before it fits. While predictive is you fix the problem, you just service the equipment on a regular interval. And the last one is a reliable centered maintenance, which comprises of all the maintenance strategy and the best, which the best can be adopted, or all of them can be used if there is need for them.
You've learned well, Mr. Wayne.
Thank you very much.
Both predictive reliability-centered maintenance and run-to-failure maintenance, they are all maintenance activities, and which you can apply to several numbers of assets. It all depends on the type of asset which you can run. So some assets can take your run-to-failure, while some assets cannot take your run-to-failure. It all depends on the kind of asset you're running. So the three of them are also essential and are very, very useful. But what differentiates one from the other is the type of asset and the type of equipment you are actually operating or you are maintaining. Because you can't use the reliability center maintenance for an electric bulb. There's nothing you want to maintain on electric bulb. So, but you can run your electric bulb to failure until when it's failure, you change it. But you can apply your reliability center maintenance to your air conditioning. So that means you have a kind of a preventive maintenance schedule set up for that air conditioning. Then your reliability center maintenance is all about you using advanced technological equipment to determine when the equipment is about to start failing. It's not that the equipment has completely failed, it is about to start failing. So all those your technological equipment tells you that this equipment is about to fail. So before the equipment finally fails, you've already carried out all the required maintenance activities that you needed to carry out on that equipment. So you can discover that the equipment is almost working within its expected what period, and it's also giving the right or efficiency. So the three of them are actually good. So you've learned well, Mr. Wayne. But I'm so sure that today you're going to learn more as well.
Yeah,
So
I
at
hope
the end
so.
of at the end of this training, you won't regret coming around.
Thank you very much.
I can show you that.
So what's your name, please?
My name is Akinola Emmanuel. So let me come up again, but I'll prefer you calling me Emmanuel.
Okay, no issue.
Because at times I have my people from the East calling me Akinola instead of Akinola. So I'll prefer you short it form as Emmanuel.
Okay.
Okay. So today we shall be taking asset management. I hope you can all see my slide.
Yes.
Yes. Good. Since we can all see my slide, so let's start with. So what do you call an asset? Why do we call it an asset? What is the purpose of an asset? Then what is an asset being used for in an organization? And to classify it, an asset is anything that has value to an organization. It is something that is owned by an organization. It has benefit for the organization. It has useful advantage for the organization, and it, at the same time generating income for the organization. GIGM Motors, they are into logistics. They are into transportation. Their major asset they have is their transport, is their vehicles. But what are they using that vehicles for? The vehicle is generating income into the company. So if I'm a facility manager in that company, my asset is different from when I'm a facility manager in the real estate. And that is also different from when I'm a facility manager in a finance industry, like banking industry, for example. An asset manager, an HR manager is also an asset manager because an asset is both living and non-living thing. Your generator is a non-living thing, it's an asset to a company. You as a person to your company, you are a living thing, but you are also an asset to that company. So now, what is an asset? Something valuable that an organization can hold, they can benefit from, they can use it, and it can be used to generate income for that particular company. So an asset is also a resource with economic value. Economic value in the sense that it is bringing in what we call return on investment. You have, like I mentioned, GIG Motor the other time. It's an investment. You invest to buy the vehicle. And when you invest to buy the vehicle, what do you expect in return? You expect profit. So it's a resource with economic value, owned with an expectation to what? To generate what? Future benefits. So it is not the day that you buy the vehicle that you're expecting the vehicle to pay back all the money you invested into buying the vehicle. No. It is future. But in an accounting context, assets can either be fixed or current assets. We have fixed assets, we have current assets, or at times it's called non-current assets. The current asset means that the asset will be consumed within 1 year. So under accounting procedure, you call these ones consumables, or at times, always called inventory at times, most times. So your current asset, these are assets that within a year you consume them, but the fixed assets are assets that stay within a span of beyond a span of what? 1 year. So a fixed assets are those that are expected to keep providing benefit for more than 1 year. Your building, Mr. Moses Obotu, please, can you please? Okay. So it's something that is expected to keep providing benefit for more than 1 year. Your building, if you are a real estate, if you are a real estate agent, if you are a facility manager in real estate, the whole building is more or less like an asset to you. And in that building, you have your generating set, you have your PACN supply, you have your water, you have your sewage system. So these are all assets because they are all working to make sure you achieve a good customer service for all tenants within that estate. They are assets. And their life expiration goes beyond 1 year, which is quite different from your printing paper in the office, your staple pen, and these are more or less like your cash, your account receivables, and your inventory, like I earlier mentioned. Your account receivable are more or less like the money service you have already rendered, but you are yet to get the return on that service, or a kind of sales you've made, but the customer is yet to pay you back. These are all account receivable. So, but on fixed asset, you have equipment such as your building, in your real estate, your generator, your furniture fitting. Some company call it plant and equipment, while some company put it under plant and furnitures. So they are all assets, because these are not something that you consume within a span of what? A span of 1 year. So type of asset management. You have financial asset management. These are people that deal with management of finances, like your current account, your savings account. Then you have infrastructure asset management, like Lagos Ibadan Expressway is an infrastructure to federal government. It is an asset to federal government. So when federal government is preparing their account balance at the end of every year, Lagos Ibadan Expressway is going to be included in it. So if federal government has disbursed like almost about 10 billion naira to make that express, on a monthly basis, there is a certain amount of money that is being deducted, which is called more or less like it's called depreciation. So on a monthly basis, your depreciation value form part of your account statement for that month. So after you have depreciated that asset completely, then it comes to a zero book value. When it comes to a zero book value, you can dispose that asset off. So those are infrastructural type of asset management. You have enterprise asset management, you have physical plant asset management, you have real estate asset management, which I've earlier mentioned. Then you have HR asset management, because we are human beings, we are living thing, but we are cost to the company. So the human resources manager is more or less like an asset manager managing human being on behalf of the company, because every employee working in that company is an asset to the company. Then, what are the 5 factors that differentiate an asset manager from a facility manager? There are 5 factors. The first one is that the type of asset that each of them manage. Like I mentioned to you, if I'm working with Chisco Motors, if I happen to be a facility manager in Chisco Motors, the asset I'm managing is different from somebody who happens to be an asset manager in Federal Muritala Mohammed Airport. It's different from somebody that is working with Lekki Construction Company, and it's different from somebody that is working from Julius Berger. They are managing different type of assets. Then 2, the purpose of the assets that they manage differentiate between an asset manager and a facility manager. The life cycle of the asset also differentiate them. Then the organizational goal of the asset, which is the owner or the investors. Then the assigned scope of operation of that particular asset also differentiate what an asset manager from a facility manager. Asset management and facility management. The difference is the scope of application. Asset management is applied to both core and support business processes, while facility management is focused on support business. Let's understand that angle very well. If I happen to be a facility manager in a real estate, my main core responsibility is to ensure that all the facility provided in that estate are working optimally. And what are those facilities? I have my runway, I have my walkway, I have my pedestrian. If it's an estate where I have a lift, I have to ensure that that lift is working. I have to ensure that my conveyors are working. Then I have to ensure that the air conditioning system is working. Then at the same time, if it's at a place where we have a boiler, I have to ensure that that boiler is working. I have a generating system. My scope of work in that kind of environment is I need to ensure that the day-to-day activity of those assets are in good shape to service the client or the tenant in that estate. But an asset manager keeps tracking record of those assets in that place. He has a track record. He has a detail of how much the the generating set is costing to the company, and he know when the book value of that generator becomes zero, and when that generator required to be replaced. And this is the reason why most of the time it's more or less like causing a conflict between an accountant and a facility manager in a company. Because a facility manager wants to replace an air conditioner, but the facility manager is looking at serving and giving the client what is necessary. The facility manager is looking at ambience. He's more concerned about convenience of the occupant, but an asset manager is looking at cost, because he knows that that particular air condition, the depreciation value has never become zero. The book value, let me put that way, that the book value has not completely become zero. So the asset manager is saying, sorry, we can't buy air conditioning now. But the facility manager is saying, no, we need to replace this air conditioning because the single air conditioning we have in their place cannot singularly take care of cooling in that place. So most of the time, this is always called like a rift between a facility manager and an asset manager, or more or less like an accountant, because an accountant or an asset manager will be looking at book value, while a facility manager is looking at convenience and satisfaction. But the bottom line is that there is no how an asset manager can determine or can work without depending on information given to him by a facility manager. Because the facility manager is the one that is giving the support. He's the one providing support to the generator system. He's the one giving the daily, day-to-day maintenance to the generating system. He's the one that knows exactly the status and the condition, the current condition of the generator. Asset manager might not know. But the bottom line is that the two of them have to work hand in hand. They have to give each other information for them to make a headway, for them to provide what is necessary. So on an operational level, facility manager and asset manager manage many services in the area of maintenance, operation, safety, logistics, and technical infrastructure. Both asset manager and facility manager also use shared management concepts like asset utilization rate. Okay, fine. This asset, we bought it at $10 million, 10 million naira. So utilization rate on monthly basis, we can say, okay, the 10 million naira, let's divide it by 10 years. A year is 12 months. And 10 years will become around 120 what? 120 months. So we can say the utilization rate should be around 2 million naira per month, or we can say 200,000 naira per month. So the rate at which we are using, the rate at which the company is charging on that asset is 200,000 naira on a monthly basis. Then the two of them have to like agree on asset register, because the asset manager use all the information getting from the facility manager to fill up the asset register. The asset replacement value. If we need to replace the generator, if we need to replace a vehicle out of our fleet, what is the book value of that vehicle? The book value is still on. Okay, instead of adding another money to our depreciation, why can't we think about repairing this vehicle instead of after replacement? So the two of them have to work hand in hand and exchange information before they can come up with what? Tangible information, a tangible decision that is going to positively impact on the service of what? The company. Then the total cost of ownership. The total cost of ownership, which we are going to discuss in the course of this lecture, it includes the cost of planning, the cost of procurement, the cost of installation, delivery, operation and maintenance, then disposal, including disposal. That is the complete total cost of what? Ownership. Then critical condition assessment. When we get to facility critical condition assessment, we're going to discuss in detail, how do we calculate our critical condition index? What is the purpose of critical condition index in facility management? We're going to discuss that in detail. Then they utilize similar analytical techniques, method, procedure, and IT solution for the two of them to come up with a vital and a concrete decision that is going to impact positively on the organization expectation. That is the difference between a facility manager and an asset manager. A facility manager focuses on the support, while asset manager focuses on both business and support process of the business. So difference between asset and inventory. Assets are items of value that you want to track closely. If you have a printer in your office, you want to know where your printer is per time. So when you get to the office in the morning and you couldn't locate your printer, you need to like raise what? Raise an alarm. But when you get to the office, you are, like 2 or 3 printing paper are missing. You less worry about that. But assets are something that you give a close monitoring to because of its impact on your balance sheet, and because of its impact on your account statement, and because most of the time when you need loan from bank, this is part of what bank consider before they can say, okay, definitely take this loan. Because bank want to see the detail of the assets you have, they want to see the detail of the liability you have. If your company is a company that they can actually give loan, or if your company is a company that is already almost getting bankrupt. So your assets are items of value that you need to keep an eye on. You need to keep giving it a close monitoring. You need to track it closely so that your computer, your printer, your phone, your vehicles, your office furniture, your generator, your air conditioning system, your furniture fitting in the office, your fan in the office, your computer system, your server, your internet switches. Those are all assets because these are not something that you replace them on a daily basis. So, but your inventory include items that are used once or last only a short time, and are also referred to as what? Consumables. Such items do not need to be tracked closely. You don't need to track them because they are more or less like consumable. Example include your office supplies such as staple pens, your notebooks, and your markers. So that is more reason why it's called what? Inventory. And under inventory, what you do is that the reason why you keep taking inventory so that you can make a replacement when you are running out of those inventories. So when you are running out of those supplies like your staple pen in the office, your notebooks, your markers, your biros, your pencil, your eraser, when you are running out, you can quickly make another reordering. So what is asset management? Asset manager is a coordinated activities of an organization to realize value from the asset. Like I gave an example of GIGM. They have a lot of logistics, they have a lot of vehicles that they are using for their logistic operation. So there are a lot of coordinated activities. Somebody is coordinating how to get petrol supplied so that those vehicles can have petrol supply for every journey they are going. Somebody is coordinating the activity of replacing the tire. They have a fleet maintenance manager who is into maintenance of those vehicles. They replace the brake system when it's required. They change the tire when it is required. Then they have another person that is completely in charge of renew the document of those vehicles, making sure and ensuring that the document that those vehicles are supposed to have for every journey that they are going to are intact. Then apart from that one, they still have a safety manager who ensure that every thing that those vehicles are supposed to have, like seat caution, the seat belt is okay, the jack is okay, then there is extra tire. So it's more or less like a coordinated activity. But what are all those activities trying to achieve? It's just to achieve that the vehicle is serving both the customer who are passengers, and at the same time is generating income back to the company. So that's why they said it's a coordinated activity. Just like your generator, the facility manager knows the vendor that needed to come around to come and service the generator when it is due, and he knows exactly the hour that the generator will be due for servicing. Then he knows the right part that will be used. Somebody at the other extreme end is coordinating how do they get diesel supply. Who is the diesel supplier? What is the quality of diesel that they must supply for the generator to keep running? So you can see that it's a coordinated activity. Why are they coordinating that? To ensure that the generator is giving an accurate supply of power when it is needed. It's not that when you want to start the generator and now discover, oh, sorry, we don't have diesel. Oh, somebody has to rush down to the filling station to go and get this. But everything is being coordinated. So it is a systematic process of what? Deploying, operating, maintaining, upgrading, and disposing of an asset. Let's take a building, for instance. Before you start constructing a building, you start thinking about planning. And during the planning stage, what do? You acquire a land. When you acquire a land, you get an architect to design an architectural, to do an architectural drawing. After that, you get a structural engineer. All this team being pulled together. Then you start the construction of the building. After you have constructed the building and you completed it, you deploy it to the end user. The end user started using it. After deploying it to the end user, you still have to maintain it. You still have to operate that building. How do you operate the building? You ensure that every amenity provided in that building are what? Operational. Then you maintain the building. You paint when it is needed. When there are leakages, you attack the leakages immediately and ensure that the leakage doesn't cause a major damage. Then it comes to a point that the building looks awkward. Then you start thinking about, do I need to upgrade this building? Or do I need to dismantle the entire building and at the same time rebuild from scratch again? So it's a systematic process where you talk about deploying, operating, maintaining, upgrading, disposing of the assets. At times, we also take that kind of decision on a vehicle. When you have a vehicle you've been using for a while, you can think about, sorry, this vehicle is no longer useful again. Let me sell it off and get a new one. I can't go to the extent of changing another engine. I've changed engines several numbers of times. So I think getting a new one will be cost savings, in quotes. Whatsoever decision you are taking, you have to consider what we call cost saving. Cost is very, very key. Then you have to consider the impact of that to the what? Organization. The life cycle of an asset, I always call it PAD. It's time to birth, the time that the asset is giving birth, the time that the asset is in use, which is the asset is alive, and D means the time the asset is dead. But the bottom line is that before me and you were being born, there are somebody somewhere who had already done the planning, which is our mother and our father. We weren't there when they planned that, oh, sorry, we need to give birth to a man called Emmanuel Akinola. And my dad said, no, you can't give birth this year because I don't have much money, woman. Before you go get Belena, it will be next year. That is planning stage, for an example. So after planning, the two of them agreed, okay, let's give birth this year. They went ahead, get it done. After 9 months, I came alive. Then when I came alive, right from the day one that they gave birth to me, they started maintaining. Give me water when it's necessary, bath for me when it's necessary, started training me. Then it will come to a point that I will attain my useful age. And when I attain my useful age, what happened? I give up. And when I give up, somebody after I give up is still there to do what? To do burial. And that is what we call asset disposal. So you start from design and construction, which include drawing, specification, you get all the necessary permits, you get contractors who are going to do the job. After all the contractors who are going to do the job, you sit everybody down, you schedule. Okay, the first month we're doing foundation, second month is what we do. Then the process starts like that. Then after, you start talking about the standard. Then after you have completed the building, you start talking about operation, operate, drawing, SOPs, permits, contract, measurement, include operation and maintenance log, resources, processes and standard. Then you talk about operate, you repair, you maintain, you upgrade. Then the assets go back to what? Retirement. That is what we call the life cycle of an asset. So like I earlier mentioned, I said we are living things. We are also an asset to our company as an employee. Even if you are not an employee, if you are having your own company or you have your own business you are running, to your business you are an asset. Because you are costing the company and a cost. So what are the strategy of asset management? The strategy provides a better understanding of how to align the asset to portfolio. If I'm working as a facility manager in the banking industry, I have over 100 branches in Nigeria. So I can assign portfolio for all my branches, all the generator that is within my branch in Lagos State. Then I can assign another portfolio to all the generators that are in all my branches in the Ekiti State. So when I want to consider generator that are due for replacement, I can pick from each state Portfolio 1, Kaduna State. Portfolio 2, Lagos State. Portfolio 3. So you can provide a better understanding of, you can align your assets portfolio-wise. That is 1. Then 2, you can see assign them in terms of, okay, all my assets that are providing power, I put them in one portfolio. What are the assets that are providing power? There are some branches that depend on generator. There are some branches that have, apart from generator, they have solar system. There are some branches that doesn't have generator, that depend on the inverter. So solar, generator, inverter, they are all providing what? Energy. So I can put them under one single portfolio, that energy asset. Why somebody can decide to put another portfolio, put them under another portfolio. So that it best meets the service delivery need of the organization, both present and what, and in the future. It's also to enable the organization asset management policy to be what? To be achieved. What is the purpose of having a asset management policy? So that you know where your asset is per time. You know the condition of those assets per time, because you have the record of those assets. Then when an asset is missing, it is easier for you to know that, sorry, this asset is missing. Then the first step in developing an asset management strategy is, 1, to get a clear understanding of the current situation of that asset. That is very, very key. Either it's a new asset or an old asset, you need to get a clear understanding of the current situation of that asset. Don't just assume. Or for instance, you are taking up a facility management job in a company, or you want to start maintaining a third-party facility for them. The best is for you to sit down and understand what is the current situation or current condition of those assets before you take over. Otherwise, you might eventually end up taking liability. So what condition are they in? Do they meet the current condition or forecast future needs of the organization? Is the funding base for operation, maintenance, and renewal appropriate and affordable? So these are the reasons why you need to make sure that you understand the current situation of the asset, because you can't tell, maybe the current budget you have is not okay enough to cater for current operation and maintenance of that kind of asset. Possibly you might need to jack up your asset or your budget, or possibly you need to reduce your budget funding. That is the reason why it is very, very key for you to understand, have a clear understanding of the current condition of the asset. That's the first step. Then asset planning decision. Then develop an asset management policy. When you are developing an asset management policy, 1, it is an integrated and multidisciplinary. The reason why they call it multidisciplinary is of the fact that it may eventually involve an engineer, it will involve a facility manager, it will involve an accountant, it may involve quality and assurance manager, it may involve asset manager, it might even involve human resources manager, because if you are trying to make a list of an asset in an estate, it is not a task that only one somebody can do. Let's take 1004 estates, for example, in Lagos State here. If I want to make a list of all the flats in that building, it's not a task that one single person can do. So definitely I need manpower. And when I need manpower, human resources manager is definitely going to be involved, because the manpower I'm going to use is a cost to the company. Then you need, while doing that, when you are developing that, you need clear direction for asset management. Then to ensure that service delivery need form the basis of the asset manager, then asset management, then a life cycle approach incorporated to asset management, then sustainability. So developing your asset management policy is not all about whatever. You still need to consider sustainability as part of it. Is that asset sustainable or not? Then what are the benefits of strategic approach to asset management? 1, better allocation of resources. You know where you are deploying your resources to at a time. You don't over deploy resources and you don't under deploy resources. Then 2, it improved alignment of assets with service and organization expectation. So like I earlier mentioned that if I'm working in the banking industry, I can put all my power providing assets in one single portfolio. like my generator set, my inverter, my solar system. I can classify them under what? Under power providing what? Asset. Then what the other benefit is better integration of service planning and asset what? Asset planning. So service planning in the sense that, okay, all your assets that require servicing, you can easily, it is easier for you to what? Integrate planning to what? To the asset what? Replacement planning. Then you can, it improve process and accountability for capital and recurrent work. So you can easily know that, okay, I am putting this money down to replace this asset because the asset is something that I know where it is, I have the correct condition, and I know the asset is due for replacement. More effective use and maintenance of what? Assets give you a more effective, it is not or, it is more, M-O-R-A. I think there is a letter missing there, please. You can include it. More effective use and more effective use and maintenance of what? Of assets. These are benefits of your what? Strategic asset management approach. I think we're almost due for break. So according to asset management resources, nearly every company has a problem with lost assets, estimated that an average of 10 to 30% of the assets are in fact lost assets. When you don't have what we call an asset register, and you are not monitoring your assets closely, you are bound to have what we call loss of assets or ghost assets. Ghost assets are assets that you have them in book, but in physical, they are not available. Possibly one way or the other, it has been lost, or it's no longer useful, or it's no longer working. But to you, in your book, you still believe that that asset is still working. So these are classified as lost assets or ghost assets. Lost asset, an asset that has been lost, stolen, or is no longer usable, but still appear on the company assets register. Also reverse to as what? Ghost asset, which I've earlier mentioned. What are the dangers of lost assets? It makes your balance sheet what? Inaccurate. Because there is no how it will not be affecting your depreciation value, your balance sheet. Then you have the notion that the asset is still working, but eventually you discover that the asset is not useful. So loss of productivity, you can rule it out. Then added expenses, because the asset is no longer available when you want to use it. So you have to find a means of getting another asset. And when you are doing that, you are adding another what? Expense. Inaccurate CapEx budgeting, that is capital expenditure. CapEx means capital expenditure. So when you are doing your capital expenditure budgeting, it can be accurate because there are some assets that you think you have that they are still useful, but they are actually not useful. But when you are doing your CapEx budgeting, you didn't plan for them. But along the line, before the end of the calendar year, that asset has an issue, and it calls for what? A replacement. Then asset misappropriation or what? Or fraud. That is the dangers of your what? Loss of assets. Asset register. What is asset register? A record that clearly identifies all the assets of what? Of a business. It allows the business owner to quickly retrieve information on an asset. So at times, a facility manager maintains what we call history card on all the equipment under his care to know when he spent certain amount of money on that particular equipment. So a facility manager can use the history card to justify the reason why he wants a replacement for that asset. So it allows business owner to quickly retrieve information on an asset when you have an asset register. Because your asset register contains detail of the name of the asset, the location of the asset, possibly if the asset has a serial number, if it has a model number, the year the asset was bought, the amount the asset was bought, the expected lifespan of that asset. And there are some of this information that you can get or you can gather from the asset manual. And when it comes to in terms of a building, the type of information you needed are what you call your as-built drawing, which detail how the electrical wiring is being done, how the plumbing is being done, how the mechanical aspect is being done, how the roof is being done, and every other thing. So those are more or less like asset what register. It shows the value of asset. date of acquisition, and other details to compute for depreciation and tax purposes, which I've earlier mentioned. Depreciation is very, very key in asset management. It allows keeping track of assets and provide a fair estimate of their worth, a fair estimate of the worth of that asset. Some companies go to the extent of when they buy a generator, the actual cost of the generator doesn't mean that's the cost of the generator. They include the cost of the generator, the cost of transporting it to site, the cost of installing it, the cost of armor cable that they use, the cost of labor and everything that generator that makes that generator operational, and classified as the total cost of that asset. So when they want to start the depreciation, that total cost is what they are going to start using as a depreciation cost for that particular asset. It's not the amount of money that they buy that generator. An organization needs an asset register to do what? One, process the purchase of an asset in accordance with the organization authorization and record keeping procedure, which I've highly mentioned. So if you keep a good record of your asset, if anybody comes to you for a replacement, then you have a detail of when the asset was bought, the expected lifespan of that asset, and why that asset require a replacement before the expiration of its life cycle. It also helps the company to maintain adequate accounting record of asset cost, description, and where they are kept in the organization. You know the location of where your asset is and who is using it. Maintain accurate record for what? Depreciation. Then it also provides management with information to help plan for future asset investment. So company knows when they need to replace that particular asset. So when they are doing their budgets on terms of CapEx, they know they have to include the cost of replacing that asset as part of their yearly CapEx budget. It also helps the company to record the retirement and disposal of what? An asset. They know when the asset is due for a complete what? Disposal. Type of assets that need to be recorded include your office equipment, your motor vehicle. We've mentioned all this, your furniture, computer, communication system, your equipment, which we have already mentioned earlier on. So what is the purpose of an asset register? One, it helps to keep the record of the company assets, their respective value and attributes. Then, to simplify record keeping. Three, to the register become a reference for business purposes. Then it can also be used for depreciation purposes to verify the existence of all assets, to keep a master list of what is held and where they are being held for the company. So for you to create an asset register, what do you need? You need to decide and confirm the purpose of the asset register. Then decide on method of organizing your asset register. Identify asset by performing a physical audit or walk around. So you need to see the asset one by one. You go to, it might require you traveling, possibly if you have several numbers of branches. It might require you to travel to go and check those assets one by one and ensure they are actually working. Then with that, you'll be able to determine what are their current conditions. Then it helps you to create an account record for each of the assets. Then it also helps you to conduct periodic audits to verify the accuracy of the asset register. So it's not that because you have conducted an asset audit this year and you know the list of your assets, next year you still have to do the same thing to ensure, because the condition of the asset this year doesn't mean it's going to remain the current condition next year. So what does your asset register entail? The name of the asset, the capacity, the model number, serial number, the location, the asset condition, purchase price, date of purchase, the manufacturer's name, the description of the asset, what are the insurance coverage you are paying on that asset, then what are the warranty information that you have. At times, you might have some equipment that some certain parts on that equipment has warranty. It's not that you bought a generator now and you say, okay, the battery is bad in the next 3 months that you want a warranty, you want to claim on warranty. No. The generator provider will tell you that, sorry, the warranty only covers the engine. Then date asset placed in service, the date the asset commenced operation, estimated life of the asset, salvage value. Salvage value means when you want to dispose of the asset. Then assigned asset identification number. So You see that most banks, most industries now, they have what we call tagging. They tag that asset, which is what a kind of a technological advance. So when they go there, they go with barcode scanner. They just scan it, the barcode scanner generating the information and sending to the central server that, okay, the asset comply with part of the asset of the company. And it's also complied with the location on which it was on the system of the company. So tag integration. So big data machine to machine. So when you tag your asset, you just take your barcode scanner there, then scan that the code on that asset, and it also generates an information back to the central server, confirming that that asset belongs to the company and it belongs to that location. It is assigned to that location where it is found. The cost performance association, then these are part of tagging. Labor improvement, because instead of somebody going like dedicating like 10 people to do the job, you have just only one single person scanning those assets one by one, just putting scanner on there. Under 1 hour, somebody can even complete the whole entire asset in one single office. Then supply allocations, then you easily know where those assets have been located. Old tagging system, static data. These are all asset tag integration that you can use. The newer system are more dynamic system. These are all tagging that you can use. But there are some people that still, till now, they're still using labeling. So you have alphanumeric. Yeah. Maybe this one, alphanumeric, barcode tagging, like I've already said. This RFID tag, this QR code tag. So it's all depend on whichever one you want to use. If you are using alphanumeric, you have asset type, location, asset number. You give the asset what? A unique what? Number. Then it is manually entered. Those are the ones that you manually enter the name of the asset, you manually generate a code for the asset. But when you are using a barcode, you already have the asset type, the location, the asset number, then its barcode is what? Automated. Then your RFID tagging is also automated. While your QR code tagging is also what? Automated. Then this one has the option of what? Smartphone. Then customer what? Access at the same time. So these are all type of tagging that you can use, or labeling you can use for your what? Asset identification. They are all asset identification system. Just only that some are more technologically advanced than the other, and each of them has an advantage. But the financial backing and the nature of your business will determine which one out of this one you can employ. If I'm working in the banking industry now and I have like over 300 branches in Nigeria, I can go for QR code tagging because I know it is smartphone compliance. But if I'm working in a facility that I have just only 3 buildings as an estate that I'm maintaining, I don't think I need to go for QR unless I have other branches in the whole of Nigeria where I still have to like maintain before I can go. So your kind of facility you are maintaining or the nature of your business will determine the type of asset tagging you can employ out of these 4 that have been mentioned. We're going for a short break. So when we come back, we still continue from storage and retrieval method on asset management. Thank you very much. So let's have a 5-minute break. You can use the opportunity to stretch ourselves, stretch your leg, take a cup of water if you want. We'll be back in 5 minutes after 5. Okay, welcome back from break. I hope you're all back. So I can see Mr. Moses Obutu, Mr. Ikechukwu Amos, Mr. Tosin Adedoyin, Mr. Oshinaike Francis. You just joining us, right?
No, sir. I've been here.
Oh, really?
During the introduction, my network went off.
Okay, maybe I thought maybe possibly you are trying to hide your face for us.
No, it was during the lecture that I covered the video. I'm not hiding my face.
Okay, good to hear that. Okay. Mrs. Chinyere, good afternoon, ma.
Afternoon. I'm sorry, I've been having some network challenges because I'm on the road. So
No problem. I know very soon when they launch 5G in Nigeria, and I won't be having these challenges again.
At all. I hope that they do that. Without the myth surrounding it.
You're welcome, ma.
Thank you. It's good to see you. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, good to have you, ma.
Thank you. All right.
I think I have Mr. MM Ekon as well. So Mr. Mediokuma Viana, Mr. Daniel Nwodu. I think we have, is it Miss Gift Okagwe? Hmm? Oh, sorry. Mr. Viana, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to the class. Happy to be
We are
here.
glad to see you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So how soon are you inviting us to join you at the beach?
Just for effects.
We're looking forward to join you at the beach, sir. Don't enjoy your money alone. No?
We can plan a day out.
Mr. Kyles.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
I caught you now. I know you're just coming. You join us along the line, sir.
No, I was here when you started.
Oh, that's fantastic. That means I didn't notice. So pardon me for that, please.
Okay, sir.
So the day I come around to borrow this your bow tie, I hope you won't tell me, you won't give me.
Until then.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. I like that affirmative then. Okay, we're going back. Welcome everybody from the break. So let's all unmute ourselves, please. So storage and retrieval method. So because when you store information on your assets, there's need for you to retrieve those information at any time, at any point when you needed them. Organization can face a huge risk when assets are operated without asset information, because you can't tell where your asset is per se, you can't tell what is the condition of your asset, and at the same time, you can't tell if the asset is even missing or stolen. So in many organizations, keeping accurate detail of assets is an ongoing challenge. So several numbers of companies have been facing several numbers of challenges. That's the reason why you see a lot of companies now are trying to see how they can go digital instead of analog, because in analog, you can't rule out human error, which is very, very possible. So this is compounded by assets often being situated at different geographic locations. So you have one asset in Lagos, you have one in Abuja, you have another one in Nasarawa. Then two, poor recording of changes. So nobody is documenting when the asset is being moved from Lagos to Ibadan, and another asset is moved from Ibadan to Lagos. You move one asset from Lagos to another branch in Port Harcourt. Let's say, for instance, you have a very big office in Lagos, which you have a 200 kV generator running there. But along the line, you have added to the office, and the capacity of the generator cannot withstand that office. You need a bigger generator. Then you have another office in Abuja where the generator is of no use. It's running idle. You can move that generator in Abuja, use to replace the one in Lagos, and take the one in Lagos back to Abuja. But the bottom line is, after all this transfer and replacement, somebody needs to put a document on ground that, sorry, the serial number, the asset register of the one in Lagos should go along with that generator when it's going to Abuja. Then the one in Abuja should also follow that Abuja generator, come back to Lagos, so that the maintenance and every other thing on that generator continue right from Lagos, and the one that goes to Abuja continue right from then in Abuja. So once these things are now missing, you can't get it right. So it is always difficult for anybody coming in at the same time to retrieve any information, to retrieve any vital information, or to diagnose the history of that particular asset. So, and with that, you might eventually have what we call out-of-date asset register. A poor definition of what constitutes a physical asset, because you just say generator. What size of generator? You can't tell. What is the capacity of that generator? You can't tell. What is the make of that generator? You can't tell. When was that generator bought? You can't tell. So how many major repairs been carried out on that generator? You can't tell. But your asset register will be able to give you this information. Even if the asset register cannot provide information about the number of maintenance that have been carried out on that generator, the asset register should be able to tell you, okay, this generator is a 200 kVA generator, it's a 100 kVA generator, this is the serial number, it's a Cummins generator, it's a Mantra generator. Then the total amount of money that we bought that generator is also so millions of naira. It was bought so December 2013. So your asset register should give you a vital information, a detailed information about that particular asset. But once those information are not being recorded right from day one, it becomes an issue. And that's the reason why most of us that are maintaining real estate as a facility manager, there are a lot of times that you find it difficult. You cannot even trace the channel of a piping work, under the piping work, because of the fact that nobody is ready to give you what we call as built that drawing as far as that building is concerned. So you have to start using your engineering knowledge. Okay, this pipe should follow this part, this drainage should follow this part. When you have drainage blockage at times, it becomes a huge headache for you as a facility manager. You don't even know where to start. So there are some facilities you get to, you cannot even pinpoint to a single asset register. You just have to be the one that will sit down to put those things in place. Once it is missed at the initial stage, it's always very, very difficult to get them right. Asset tagging process. How do you do your tagging? Identify the business protocol. Select tagging system that you want to use. You know, I earlier mentioned it that your facility will determine the kind of tagging system or the kind of asset technology you want to employ. So if First Bank is using a QR code tagging system for their assets, if I have just only one single office or 3 offices apartment, I don't think I need to employ that, because that is a huge cost to the company. So you need to consider cost at the same time, like I earlier mentioned. Then you talk about inventory of the asset, select the asset name, then assign each asset with unique string. That is the business unit, the country, the city, the building, the number, building number, the floor, the room, then STM code and asset number, others. If I have a 10-story building, all the assets in the first floor, I can put them first floor. I can put FF as part of the code. Second floor, I can put SF as part of the code. Third floor, I can make it TF, that is third floor. Just on like that. Third floor, furniture, third floor, computer, third floor, inverter, third floor, air condition. So I can use all those ones to do my coding. Then when I've generated all the coding, then I can easily transfer it to the IT guy to enter those coding into the system. So when I needed to do asset audit, I just go with my scanner, bam, I scan it, it's a record, and send information down to the central server. So those are part of asset tagging processes that we can use. Then standardization, we have ISO, International Standard Organization. So you have, why is this important? Why is standard important? Examples of ISO are ASTM Uniform 11, ASTAC, ISO 267. These are all examples of asset tagging standardization that we can employ. Data integration, scale portability, then efficient benchmarking. In terms of data integration, in a situation whereby your business unit is using what we call manual, or let's say you are using manual asset tagging before. When you want to move from manual to digital, you have to integrate that data. Somebody has to collect all those data and integrate into the new technology that you put in place. And all this technology we mentioned about have their good and their shortcomings as well. So you as a facility manager or as an asset manager will be the one that will sit down to know exactly the one that actually suits your purpose out of them all. There's no any one of them that is not good. But the bottom line is that most of them, you are the one, or the nature of your facility, the nature of your business will determine which one among them you are going to pay. Just like your normal maintenance activities as well. We have computerized maintenance system put in place. But there are several numbers of software that can run your CMMS for you. So you as a facility manager, you are the one that will determine the kind of software you are going to use for your CMMS. So the information you want to extract from the CMMS will determine what and the type of the software you will need to deploy. Because it's not all software that can give you all the required information. At least your software can provide you 90% of the information that you want to retrieve from that software. Why not? You can go ahead and get it done. Documentation. One, we talk about operation and maintenance manual. You can use that one to get your documentation right. Warranty terms, you can use that as well. Then as-built drawing, I've mentioned it earlier on. The difference between engineering drawing and as-built drawing. Your engineering drawing tells you where to put pillar, where to put column, where to put plumbing material. But as the construction is going on, there are one or two variations that you can do. And when you are doing those variations, when you finally complete the project, you need to generate what is called as-built drawing, because the as-built drawing will tell you that there is a variation from the initial engineering drawing. The as-built drawing tells you what is exactly the laying of the piping work, the laying of the cabling work, and every other thing in that facility. Then asset master list, then asset tagging, repair history card, which I've earlier mentioned before. Then, what is asset disposal plan? Like I earlier mentioned, I told you that when you give back to an asset called BAD, when the asset is alive and when the asset is dead, before the asset is being given birth to, there's something we call planning. Then after the asset is completely dead, there's something we call disposal. So from planning to disposal, that is what we term as cost of ownership, because there are some certain assets that when you want to dispose them, you can't just carry them and you still need to get an organization that is going to do the commissioning for you, or the disposal for you, and you have to pay. So this comes at the cost. It's just like you have a 10-story building that you need to demolish and start building another building again. You can't just go to the roadside and employ all these aboki and give them armor. Before you know it, they will fall the building to another compound. So you need to get a company that is dedicated, that they are completely into that kind of task, and they're going to charge you. So that comes at a cost to you. So asset disposal plan, a plan that documents the activities and costs associated with what? Disposal of an asset. If you are working in the chemical industry, when you want to dispose of a chemical, you don't just throw them away anyhow. You need to get chemical disposal company to handle that for you. Otherwise, government is going to penalize you for it. General part of a comprehensive asset management plan. Then 3, any activity associated with the disposal or the commissioned asset, such as sale of an asset, demolition of an asset, and relocation of the asset. So these are all what you need to plan, and they all come at a cost to the company. Then an asset disposal plan, 1, should include forecast of the timing for future asset disposal. So if I'm going to demolish a 10-story building now, I have a lot of schedule that I need to do. What are the schedule? This will take me 1 month. Where am I starting from? Am I starting from the first floor? Am I starting from the ground floor? Then what are the permits that I need to take? What are the safety precautions? How many days will this cost me? Do I need any other manpower apart from, do I need any plant and equipment? Do I need a crane? If I need a crane, how do I get it? How do I do this that it will not even obstruct other neighbors or other nearby tenants? So these are what you need to consider. Cash flow forecast, identify income and expenditure associated with asset disposal. So if I'm going to dispose the assets, what are the costs? I need to identify. Then during the times of disposal, before I'm going to commissioning another one, what are the sales loss? How much am I going to lose within that period? Then the time asset disposal to ensure that one, replacement assets are what? Operational. Ready to absorb the workload of the decommissioned asset. That is, if I am taking a 200 kV generator out and I have an office expansion, it is not expected of me to put another 200 kV generator there again. That means I have to upgrade to like maybe around 250. If I'm disposing of all the Pentium 1920 and 1916 in my office, I shouldn't replace them back with the same set of whatever. I should look for something maybe probably this time around. Instead of everybody using desktop, I can start thinking about, okay, let everybody start using what? Computer. And the kind of computer they are using, is it the one that have Wi-Fi opportunity or the one that doesn't have Wi-Fi? So those are what I need to consider. So the new assets you are commissioning must be able to perform even beyond the task of the other old one that you decommission. So that the user, you need to ensure that the users are not inconvenienced needlessly. So it's not that when you give me, I'm more convenient, I'm more conversant with the asset I'm using before, but the one you are giving me now is not even user-friendly. So those are what you need to consider. The new asset you are putting in place, are they going to be user-friendly? Are they going to perform the same task that the commission ones are going to already perform? So asset disposal plan is an important component of a sound asset management plan. Saying disposal cost can be as much as 5% of the full life cycle cost of an asset. You can see now, cost of disposal is at least 5% of the entire cost of the full cycle life cycle of that asset. So when you are disposing of assets, also come at a cost. It's not free. So when you are replacing an asset, what is the replacement cost of value? The amount to pay to replace an asset at the present time, according to its current worth. Asset, understanding asset replacement cost. One, as certain assets approach the end of their useful life, expenditure to replace the asset need to be what? Anticipated. Explore insurance coverage for the asset, because why you need to do this is that you discover that at the end of the day, when the asset is closer to the disposal period, the cost of maintenance becomes rapid. It becomes increased. It becomes huge. And when you consider the cost of repair, a major repair, and the cost of replacing it, you look at the economic value, and you now discover that, okay, it is far cost saving and time saving and sustainability at the same time to replace the equipment rather than what? Continuing what? Repairing it. Then you should be able to justify the reason why you are replacing the assets. Computer-based asset monitoring. Assets are critical components of any business or organization, but tracking those assets can be one of the most time-consuming tasks of the entire workday. I've mentioned barcode asset tracking tools can streamline work. It helps to make employee work more efficiently and productively. Asset tracking tools, what are those tools that you use? Enable organization to track asset maintenance and what? Location. Save valuable time and eliminate the need for what? Spreadsheets. So you don't need spreadsheets. You don't need to start putting everything in Excel. Ensure proper inventory management. So everything is completely automated. So as soon as you are getting the information, it's going to the central server system. Instead of generating and putting it on Excel, from Excel you start transferring again. No. Asset tracking and management system. Asset tracking system speed up audit tasks and conduct asset tracking in real time. This will enable more efficiency in what? In planning. Enables scheduling of necessary maintenance or servicing for equipment at appropriate time. In setting up an asset tracking system, consider the following. One, how many assets do you need to track? What type of asset are you tracking? Where are the assets located? How many locations do you have? Are the assets already labeled? Will you use barcode or RFID tags? Do you need real-time updates, or can batch collection be used? What type of reporting will you need for the system? So, like if I'm maintaining an asset on an oil rig, I think I would prefer to go for a real-time update, because I need to know what is the status of that asset. If I have a power, if I'm a power providing company and I'm providing power for an oil rig, I need to know how my power equipment is performing on that oil rig. on a real time. So even if I'm inside my car, I can see, okay, the temperature of the generator is within acceptable limit. Okay, the water level is okay, oil level is okay, every other thing is okay. Then when there is a false alarm, there is a fault alert. When the system generated that fault alert, who is that system sending that alarm code to? Is it sending it to the MDCO? Is it sending it to the facility manager? So these are what should be included in that real-time update. But if I'm a facility manager in 1004, why do I need a real-time? It is easier because I can dedicate somebody to be on ground to monitor. But that doesn't mean I can't use real-time. It all depends on the kind of what I want to put in place and the availability of what? Capital. That's what we determine. But the bottom line is that as facility manager, I always advise, make use of what is available before you start asking for the technological asset management system. So let the management see that you are still making use of the existing manual one that they have. Let them see the reason why they need to upgrade. So don't just come in and start saying, oh, sorry, we need to buy a technology worth of almost about 2 million naira to track assets alone. No. There are some of them that has cost as 10 million naira, 50 million naira. So you can't just come up and start saying, okay, let's do this. You must make use of what is available first. Let's see that that one is working. Then you can start pushing forward something, and everybody will see that, okay, sorry, there's need for us to upgrade this. So there is, this is computer-aided facility management, marketing segment, and internet facility management software. So computer-aided facility management, you can employ it to monitor your facility management. Like you can plug in your generator as part of it, plug in your conveyor as part of it. All the entire asset you're maintaining in that facility can be logged into that your what? Computer-aided facility management. So when there is any need for you to do any maintenance activities, generate an information sent to you. Likewise, your internet facility management software. These are all software that can help you. You have computer-aided design, building automation, energy management, space and asset management, real estate and property management, facility assessment, maintenance and operation. So you have a lot of this software that can give you a vital information, but the information you actually want to pull out of that software determine the type of software you are going to use to carry out any of this activity. IT infrastructure, ERP, project management, strategic planning, finance and operation, work process and standard, documentation management and collaboration. These are all what you can use. So we have a lot of software here that you can deploy. Under space and asset management, these are all software you can use. Like your draw-based software, asset work, OmniLink, Bentley, you have ASPS, you have brokerage, you have finance. Then under real estate and property management, these are all software you can use. Then you have the one that can handle property management. You have the one that can have project management. These are all software you can use under project management. Under facility management, facility assessment, you have VFA, you have ISES, you have AME, you have WASA, you have ATG. Then under maintenance and operation, these are all software, Facility Express, Asset, Facility Wizard, Pre-Engine. These are all software you can use. But the information you want to retrieve will determine which out of all this technology you can like pull out and employ in your facility. When you want to implement a facility management system, what do you need to do before you implement it? One, every organization should, assess their business need. You need to know exactly what is your business need before you can start putting on any facility in place. Decide on system implementation objective. Identify system requirements. What will be done with the information from the system? Proceed with the purchase. When you have answered question number 1 to 4, option number 1 to 4, then you can now proceed and purchase that system. Then finally, how you need to implement that system. When you want to implement the system you've already finally chosen, 1, you need to draw up an implementation plan. Implementation plan execution, draw up a plan. You need to issue identification to all that are concerned in terms of that implementation. Then, what are the risks involved during that period in time? It's just like you are upgrading your internet facility in the office. And the internet facility you are upgrading might take you like 3 or 4 days. So definitely, the whole entire business cannot run without internet. So what do you need to do? That means definitely you need to work alongside with the IT manager. The IT manager needs to possibly provide either everybody has to like be given credit to subscribe on their phone while they use hotspot to keep working, while the integration is what taking place. Then the risk management, how do you manage your risk? If you are using hotspot, this is easily prone to hacker, and you know you have a lot of information that you need to protect. So what will be the job of the IT manager? He needs to make sure that he provides all the necessary things in place to make sure that to mitigate against any necessary risk. Change management. When you are making that upgrade, it has to be in phase-wise manner. Okay, you do IT department today, you do finance tomorrow, you do maintenance next tomorrow, you do QA, you do safety people. So you need to start looking at how do you do the upgrading. Then transition period. How many days does the transition period take? 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, or 2 months? Within that period in time, you have to do it in such a way that it's not going to create what we call each free operation. It must be each free operating period. Then when you are implement, you have to review that implementation. Does this implementation creating a risk or not? Is it providing what we actually want? Is it user-friendly? And when you want to do this, you can start taking samples, take opinion from the end users. Okay, how do you feel about this new internet that we've already put in place? Somebody will tell you, sorry, before I can download 3 megabytes, but this time around I cannot even download 1 megabyte. So when you sample opinion, then from the review, you'll be able to get back to the service provider. Sorry, these are the challenges we are having with your software. What can we do? Then when you are choosing a software like that, you must choose a software that you can have a backup. And the software provider can give you what we call after-sales service. And they must be software provider that when you call them in real time, 24 hours, they should be able to respond. It's not that you send them mail tomorrow, they don't respond until next tomorrow. No. That is where review comes into place. Post-implementation, after you have implemented that software, what do you need to do? You need to involve continuous process monitoring and tweaking. So you need to keep monitoring how the system is performing. Then you need to do what we call continuous staff training and what? You train and you train. You don't stop. Then quality assurance conducted on the input. So you need to ensure that the right information is being inputted into what? Into the system. Continuously promoting the system value to what? To staff, because you need to start telling staff that this system is valuable. Otherwise, they will tell you, sorry, it will have been better you leave us with the old system we are using. This system is not what? It's not, doesn't what is. So the bottom line here is that the facility management system aren't just about software. Every staff should be made to see the value of the system, and hence an organization should put everything in place to ensure the system is used effectively. So benefit of MMS, this is computerized maintenance management system. So effective planning is a software as well. Effective plan and schedule preventing maintenance. It's manage your work order efficiently. It manages spare part inventory. It eliminates paperwork. Then it enhances productivity. It reduces your downtime and repair costs. These are all the advantage of your what? Your CMMS as what? As a system in maintenance. Then when you want to implement your CMMS, you get buy-in and commitment from management, because if you don't get management commitment, your proposal might not be approved. But once you get the management approval, then you can go ahead, get it. Define the requirements, including goals, expectation, hardware, and timelines. Then 2, gather a list of all assets to be entered in the CMMS. What are the assets you need to enter into the computerized maintenance system? I'm not expecting to have a computerized maintenance system and start putting electric bulb. No. But when you are putting assets like your lift, your roofing system, your plumbing system, oh, fantastic. Your generating set, your air condition, your furniture fitting, oh, fantastic. Document all plan and preventive maintenance procedure. Select CMMS software suit your what? Your need, not just any CMMS. You must choose something that is what? Useful for your what? For the organization. Import any data you have from the existing system using spreadsheet. So pull out all the data you have in the old system and input them into the new system. Add user or user group to the CMMS, add your asset to the CMMS, add schedule maintenance and set triggers, go live, continuous improvement, review, renew, refine, and what? Customize. So what are the phases that involve when you are implementing your computerized maintenance system? The project planning stage, data migration, core configuration, data process design, practical testing, then you manage the result. These are all the phases, all the steps that it involve when you are implementing your what? Computerized maintenance system. What are the challenges? One, feature and function. So a lot of people might not get used to the features and the functions of those CMMS or whatever. So you need to, that's the area where training and continuous training comes into. System flexibility, how flexible is the system? These are part of the challenges you are going to come across. Interface capability, then system security, how secure is that system? Does that mean anybody can just access data anyhow? Data security, you have to like make sure you put that in place as well. So what is the difference between computerized aided facility management and other facility management system? Not to confuse computerized maintenance management system with computerized asset, computer aided facility management system. CAFM is computer aided facility management system. So consider an office. So we have to get the two right. There is a difference between CMMS and CAFM. Consider an office in the working place. Ensuring that that office is properly inspected, maintained, and repaired is a CMMS function. So CMMS is completely dealing with what? Maintenance. So CMMS is just like a subset under CAFM. It's just like a baby. Why CAFM is the mother? Because CMMS only deal with maintenance alone, while CAFM deal with management, maintenance of the whole complete facility. Then knowledge about the staff and the office content, which include chairs, table, locker, desks, phone, including movement from office to office and equipment, connection, electrical, oxygen, communication, other related to what? CAFM activity. So CMMS is just like a part of CAFM. So they are not the same thing. They are two different things. But CMMS only focuses on maintenance and repair alone. So let's get it right. So that brings us to the end of the slide. I think this happened to be their assignment, right? Okay, so you have the assignment on the slide. So you do the assignment and some bits on mail. Okay, so you have a link where you need to submit. So let's welcome some questions as much as possible. So if you have any question, just raise up your hand, then you unmute yourself, then you can give us your question. Question, please. Okay, to participants raise hand. Who are raising their hand? Yes, I know, I have 3 people raising hand. Okay, 4 people. Okay, let's do this way. Miss Oluwayemisi, let's take Miss Oluwayemisi first. Then from there, I'll go to Mr. Taufik. Then Mr. Oshinaike, 3. Mr. Moses, 4. Then Mr. Emeka and 5. So Mrs. Oluwayemisi.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. Please,
good evening,
can we say what is the difference between asset management and project management?
Okay.
Then, yes, because according to the lecture, the chart
Yeah.
that you give us from the planning till the last stage, I can see that there is little difference between the asset management and the project management.
So there is a wide difference between asset management and project management. You know, like I told you now, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is an asset to federal government. It's under infrastructural assets. You understand?
Okay.
But from the beginning, from the planning to the execution, monitoring, and every other, to the completion of that Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, it is called a project.
Okay.
But after the project is completed, it becomes an asset. Just like a building. If I'm building an estate of almost about 7,000 blocks, it's a project. But once I complete that project, that building becomes an asset to the company. So how I maintain that asset becomes what? My major, it becomes the complete responsibility of an asset manager. The only area where the asset manager might need one or two information from the project manager is in terms of what are the as-built drawing. What is the total cost involved in taking a single block of flats? How much is a single block of flat? You understand cost? Let's assume that a single block of flat costs 28 million naira, which is from foundation to roofing to completion, complete entire asset. So if an asset manager wants to raise an asset register for that kind of a block, it's going to say 1004 estates, Lekki, block 0001. Number of 7 flats, total cost of asset 10 million, 28 million naira. Commissioning date January 2013. Expected life cycle of that block 78 years.
That means there is calculation in there.
Exactly. So if it is 78 years, then it is now the function of the asset manager to now determine what is going to be the monthly depreciation value is going to be deducting on that asset. I hope you are getting me.
Yes,
so
sir.
Let's now assume that along the line, this building collapsed. And there is need for you to rebuild that building before 78 years expected lifespan of that building. So assuming you are spending another 40 million naira to bring that building back to life. Let's assume that out of the 28 million naira of initial building cost in 2014, this is 2021, which is like 7 years, right? You have already paid like 8 million out of it. You have 20 million to go, right?
Yes, sir.
So that means the 14 million naira you are spending, right? You are going to add it to the 20 million. That makes it 34 million naira.
Okay.
So your depreciation value will increase. It's no longer 28 million naira divided by 78 years.
Okay. Then we are using depreciation method.
Exactly.
Oh God.
So that's the reason why there's always a rift between a finance manager and a facility manager when it's coming to asset management.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
Because
that one takes us to.
Come again, man.
Okay, sorry. That one takes me to the asset disposable cost. That means in asset disposable cost, there is a calculation in it.
Yes, there is. It's cost. Assuming you are a facility manager in a drug manufacturing industry.
Okay.
You have what we call drug waste.
Okay.
Which are very, very hazardous when it's come to disposing those waste. So there are some companies that are dedicated into disposing those kind of waste.
Okay.
So those kind of waste are not something you just pick up and dispose in the gutter or anywhere. No. So it comes at a cost. You have a let me say 20-story building apartment that is no longer useful again, and you want to demolish it. You can't just employ anybody. Before you can demolish that building, you are going to get what we call permits.
Yes.
And that permit doesn't come it doesn't come free of charge.
Yes.
Then it might involve you getting what we call crane. which are heavy equipment, and that come at a cost. You are only trying to demolish the building, but you still have to spend money.
Okay.
We'll make it faster. So that is
Thank you,
where
sir.
all those things comes in.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So grateful.
Okay, I hope I answer your question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Oluwayemi.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Awet
sir.
Taofeek.
Good
Mr.
evening,
Awet, you
everyone.
can mute yourself.
Yeah. Please, when you were talking about asset tagging processes, you mentioned identify business protocol. I can't get that very well. Identifying business protocol. What are the protocols that you identify?
Come again, Mr. Taofeek.
When you were talking about asset tagging process, there is one point you mentioned, identify business protocol. I couldn't get that identify business protocol well. Can you please explain further what identify business protocol means?
What happened is that every business has their own policies and they have their own processes when it comes to asset management. So you need to understand what are the policies and what are the processes that you have to go through in your asset management in terms of company-wise. So a company, as a facility manager, you are the sole proprietor of all the assets you are maintaining. But in some company, the asset manager is the sole proprietor. You can only provide information to the asset manager. So that's the reason why you need to understand what the process is all about. There are some certain ones that you only take approval only from your immediate boss. But there are some that you need to go as far as getting approval from the MD CEO. That's what that is all about. So, Mr. Awe?
Yeah, I can get that, sir.
Okay, sir. Do you have any other question apart from that?
No other
okay.
question, sir.
Mr. Oshinaki, you can mute yourself, sir. Mr. Francis.
Yes, good evening, sir. Thank you for the lecture.
Good evening, Mr. Francis.
Yes, sir. I just want to confirm if in a practical experience, you are more experienced, is it always the case to dispose after depreciation has been completed in every asset? Or so disposal could be selling it again to a third party? Or disposal is okay.
There is something I did in my former company when I was still working with my former company. Every engine oil that we remove from our generator is sent back to our warehouse. So we don't allow anybody to dispose of it. When we send it back to the warehouse, we have all these block making industry, people who are using Lister generator. They come around to buy it from us. So we use that one to generate money for the company. So when we are selling the engine oil, we are selling the engine oil and the jerry can at the same time. So you can still use that one. It's not everyone that costs you money. There are some that you can use to generate money, like your vehicles, your fleet. If you are working in a fleet industry, if the vehicle has completely served its book value and you have zero book value, you can sell it off at a cheaper rate. Even you can sell it to staff. Anybody, you still use that one to generate a little amount of money back to the company. It's possible. You are right.
Okay, then from practical experience too, all
sir.
these CMMS and CAFM, have you experienced them being deployed and used properly in any organization? Is there any record of them being used?
There are several numbers of organizations that use that. You know, Mantrack is a power generating company that sells generator. They still provide after sales service to a lot of clients. So people like them, they can install what we call a CMMS to monitor the performance of every generator that they are maintaining for all their clients in all locations.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir.
You're much welcome, sir. Mr. Moses.
All right. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moses.
And good afternoon, all. My question is still on CMMS because I've had experiences where there could be glitch with using of this CMMS system. There could be glitch with internet network, or there could be glitch with the software itself, and it often results to unpleasant experiences on the side of the client. So, how will you advise for one to quickly, or what other means can one have to quickly resolve such? Because you can have a CMMS on a critical system like the generating set, and then you have these glitches, and then you are not able to deliver in good time. So how will you advise for one to resolve such issues on site?
I think one of the things you need to consider before you choose any software in terms of your CMM is that apart from you doing a detailed research on the available ones, first thing first, the information you want to retrieve from the CMMS will determine the software you want to pick. That is one. Have that at the back of your mind. Then two, whichever CMMS software you are picking, you need to try as much as possible to do a lot of research. And this is where networking comes in. Call all your colleagues who are also into facility management, who has one way or the other used that same kind of software before, understand what are the advantages they have gained in using that software, understand what are the challenges they have faced. Because it might not be software per se, it might be your internet issue. So possibly you might eventually discover that, okay, maybe you need to upgrade from the current internet you are having to a very good one or whatever. So you need to do your due diligence, do your digging down and get all your vital information about that software before you go to the extent of procuring that software and putting that software in place. Then the second thing is that if you have a software that are currently giving you challenges, what are the service provider, these people that sell the software, what kind of service, after sales service are they giving you? Because you are more or less like a client to them. And the efficiency of their system will determine how your client that you are servicing will rate you. And if their servicing, if their system is not efficient enough, it's also affecting your rating at the end of your what? At the top parties, your top party that you are providing service for. So that's the reason why you need to make sure that your system software service provider must be somebody who can, on a real-time scenario, 24-hour can give you necessary support service. You call them when it is needed, they respond. And when you have in each one way or the other, that's the reason why the issue of review, continual review, and continual review comes into place. I think if we check slide, if you check this slide, you can see continuous improvement, review, renew, refine, and customize. That is very, very key. So it is when you keep reviewing, you started seeing a lot of shortcomings. Then when you are noticing those shortcomings, you started getting back to them, hit them back. Then at times, if you want to make it, if you want to choose a software, it's always better, if it is possible, do a kind of what we call dry run. You can do a dry run for 2 months. You can do a dry run for 3 months. Okay, your system is okay, no problem. Go and put your system on this generator. Go and put your system on this all our assets. Let's see how the performance is within 2 months. If it's not okay for you, it's not a big deal. You tell them, sorry, I don't think, and you let them generate all the necessary information. Not just only just come around and say, no, the system is not good. You need to have fact and figure, showing to them that these are the challenges we have. If this is not giving us this, we can't pick up this, your system. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Moses.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question, Mr. Moses?
No, none for now.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Francis, I think I've answered one of your questions. Let me pick Mr. Emeka and I'll come back to you, Mr. Francis, don't worry.
All right, yes.
Mr. Emeka. I think Mr. Emeka is having issue with network. Mr. Chimeze, can you please come up with your question?
Yes.
Unmute yourself and come up with your question.
Yes, I'm on now. Good evening. Okay. Thank you for
good evening, Mr. Chimeze.
Yes. Before now, I used to see inventory as taking records of, let's say, assets or items. But in the course of this class, when you compare asset and inventory, you made us understand that inventory are consumables on constant basis.
Yes.
Yes, still, it's kind of confusing to me and not really clear on it.
Actually, the reason why it is classified under inventory is because these are something that doesn't last for a span of 1 year. And if you look at them, most of the time, they are more or less like something that is not adding any value most of the time to the company. So that's why it is classified under consumables. And the reason why you have to have inventory of them is that so that you know when you are running out and you need to make a what? A pre-order for a replacement. Just like if you have a generator, like let me use a generator. If you are maintaining your generator in-house, your servicing spare part becomes an inventory, like your filter, your engine oil, your oil filter, fuel filter, engine oil, those becomes your inventory. But the generator itself is an asset. And don't be surprised, your battery, the generator battery can also form part of inventory because at times your battery might not last you for 1 year. Mr. Chimeze. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I think that is clear. It's clear.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Clear.
But your asset has a life value beyond 1 year. And it's always something that is more or less generating an income for the company, one way or the other, either directly or indirectly. Because somebody like you are an asset to your company. You are smiling. Your asset manager is your HR. So thank you, Mr. Chimeze.
Thank you very much.
You're much welcome, sir. Mr. Adekunle.
Hold on, sir. My question goes like this: how do you determine the expected lifespan of an asset?
It all depends on the kind of asset. If I'm comparing a vehicle and a generator now, they might not be having the same life cycle. If you maintain your generator very well, to me, you should still have like, most of the time, I always tell people in terms of generator, don't use year to determine the life cycle of a generator. It's better you use hours. Because at times, you might say that this generator, you are giving it a 10 years life cycle. But when you are using generator, when you are using NEPA as a benchmark, as a standby for generator, it's different from when you are using generator as a standby for NEPA. So if I've already proposed 10 years for my generator, and I'm running this generator for 24 hours every day, I don't think that generator can last 10 years. Right or wrong? So if I'm proposing 10 years for a generator, I don't think I can propose 10 years for a building. So if I'm talking about a building, I should start talking about 30 years upfront. So if I have a laptop, if I'm thinking about the life cycle of a laptop, I can propose 5 years for a laptop, by and large, right?
Yeah.
So that is just the way it is. Right from experience, then from asking questions, from networking, those who have done it before, those who have maintained that kind of asset before, you can easily get to know the number of years you're going to propose for that particular asset.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're much welcome. So, Mr. Emmanuel, Mr. Emeka, Ani. Okay, Mr. Christian Amos.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening,
How is work today?
No, today
it's
is
not
my
right
off.
today. So it
Yeah,
seems
today's
as
my
if
off day.
work is less stressful today, right?
No, I've been sleeping. Today's my off day.
Oh, when I grow up, I want to be like you.
No, rather I would want to be like you. Yeah, so
okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just have just a few questions. You talked about facility, manager, not having a proper asset register in terms of taking inventories of what they have in their facility. Yes, I can easily say I'm very much I'm very much involved in something like that. There's this particular facility I actually once worked with. and I noticed the dishwasher. The dishwasher is not properly registered under their assets register. So I just, the dishwasher is faulty. So I was being called upon to, come check and prefer a solution to as to the problem. So I got there, I checked their asset register, and I noticed it wasn't duly registered. So for me to, prefer a solution, or probably to call a technician to come check this particular dishwasher, I really don't know where the particular company the dishwasher was being bought. So I was totally confused, and then there was no how I can, get the particular serial number. Why? Because this dishwasher has been in that facility for over 4 years, and so most of the serial numbers have been peeled off. They've all peeled off. Yeah. So I find it difficult to be able to prefer solution. Recommendation that has to do with particular dishwasher. So I think I see the need for every asset, facility to be duly registered under the asset register, like you talked about. So because to avoid the facility manager to start running on a blind spot in terms of repairs and all that.
So I perfectly agree with you. Then one of the area where a good asset register saves you is in terms of cost, because that same dishwasher you're mentioning about, if that dishwasher has been duly registered with all the detailed information, you might even discover that there are some certain components of that dishwasher that is still under warranty.
Yeah, sure.
So instead of you spending money, you can still go ahead from the company that you bought it from and claim your warranty.
True.
So that's the reason why, even when you are taking over a new facility, if that is not in place, you as a facility manager, you need to sit down and get that done and continue from there. Even if it is available, you still need to improve on that. It's very, very key. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the
Okay. Mr. Emen Ekon, you can unmute yourself and come up with your question, man.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
My question is quite similar to what the previous guy just said, because I don't know. I have a facility I'm in charge of, but there's no blueprint. I don't know if that's the word for it, on how things were installed. So right now we're having a lot of plumbing issues. You keep fixing the same thing over and over and over again. So in this kind of situation, I really don't know how we can solve it, because there's no register of where they got this, or there's no one register of how it's being done or how anything has been fixed.
I get your point, and I've earlier mentioned it as part of what I said today, that there are a lot of project work or a lot of construction work that have been done that there's nothing like what we call as build drawing. Because as build drawing is very, very key, because it tells you how the drainages goes, how the electrical wiring is being done. But in a situation whereby you take over a facility and you don't have that in place, there are one way or two other ways you can do it, but it might cost the company another money. Why is that? You get an architect, that is one, and get a structural engineer or an MEP. We call it MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineer. So those two people can run through the whole entire facility and draw up a certain thing out for you, because based on the experience and every other thing, they know if a pipe is going this way, this will be the route of that pipe. So you can take the service of a good architect and a good MEP engineer, mechanical and electrical and plumbing engineer, to help you get something like an as-built drawing that you can be used as more or less like a blueprint that you can be using when you run into one or two challenges as well. Yeah, you are right.
Okay.
So any other question?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Awe, it's like you have another question again.
Yes, sir.
John, I'll come back to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I have one observation to what Mr. Adipuni asked the other time. That how did you
go ahead, sir.
The lifespan of an asset?
Yeah.
Some of the assets we purchase this time, they have the lifespan in them. An example is like that of an LED floodlights. Sometimes they may write 50,000 hours. So even if you are counting with this, probably it might not work because those lifespan they are done in hours. Likewise, some like generator now. Once you run the generator for like 10,000 hours, that means it's due for overhaul. That is the standard. So most of the times, it's not about the particular age of the equipment or gadget, but it depends on hours. Some are counted with hours, likewise some are counted with month or year. That is my observation as regards Mr. John. Then the number two is, have you ever used any CMMS application? How did you purchase it? Is the purchase what? And the operations, apart from what the theoretical aspects, you've been using the CMMS application before. How do you feel like? How does the application work apart from the theoretical? Let's talk about the theoretical practical aspects. That's all, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Tafi, either theoretical or practical. What actually determines the CMMS you want to use is the kind of facility you are running, one. Then two, the information, the actual information you want that system to give you. That is two. Those are the key factors. Then the third factor, which is the major factor, is your ability. Do you have the capital to procure that kind of whatever? Somebody that is working in a Cabri, you know, Cabri has a lot of machines. The kind of CMMS that we're using will be quite different from somebody working in the real estate, like 1004. I hope you are getting my point. So if you are working in somewhere like a generator company where you have a lot of generator elsewhere, the information you are trying to extract from the generator is different from what you are trying to extract from your machines.
Okay.
If I'm a facility manager and I need a CMMS in a poultry farm, the software I'm going to install is quite different from what you're going to install when you're working with a generator company. So the first thing you need, three things you need to consider. One, what is the nature of your facility? What kind of facility are you running? That's one. Then two, what are the vital information you want to get from that software that you want that software to give you? Then three, what is the cost of that software? Then do you have the budget? Then the second thing, the other thing is that, does that software worth buying currently? Why can't you stick to the analog or the analog one, the manual one that you have on ground? Why do you want to go digital? So, because the bottom line is that it comes at a cost and you have management to give you approval.
Exactly.
Will you be able to convince management to buy that software? That is the question. Yeah. And that's the reason why I said, in everything, just make sure you make a very good use of the one that is available first. Then you have the reason to prove that, sir, I need an expansion. It works that way.
No,
thank you, sir.
I get my point. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Now, Mr. John. I can see you are still raising your hand, Mr. John Adekunle.
I already asked my question.
Your hand is still up, sir. Maybe I should tell you to put your hand down,
I'll
sir.
take it down.
Okay, Miss MM, your hand is still up. Do you still have another question for us again? You are still raising your hand.
No, I don't. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
So, okay, Mr. Francis, so you can come up with your question now.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Francis, go ahead, sir.
So I've actually asked the questions and you have answered. I realized that I didn't put my hands down, but okay. I want to ask something again from what the lady just asked. Okay, just make a case for. Instead of calling an MEP, yes, which is going to, of course, cost you like you're just starting to build a new house, is it reasonable when we talk of plumbing? It's plumbing, yes, because I've had experience like this. Is it reasonable to just rerun the pipes, depending on the facility though, which is costing you less? You have your manpower already, probably as a staff, you just buy the pipes and you rerun it in a surface. Even if you have to do it conduit, it's probably far cheaper. It's just I'm asking so that we can advise.
No, it's not. Everything is
best option to take.
Mr. Francis, everything is all about cost. What you're actually trying to achieve is to cost saving.
Yeah, because I've done this. Okay.
I agree with you. But there are some situations whereby you might need to do some excavation. And when you want to do excavation, you know your structural integrity comes into play.
Yes.
So while you are doing excavation, you don't go and for the whole building.
Yes.
So
that's why I said it depends on the facility.
Exactly. The
Yes.
nature of the work will determine the best approach to run the survey. It's allowed.
Yes. Because
when you want to run the survey, you have to do it in an aesthetic way that it will still give an aesthetic look to the building.
Yes, of course. All those have to be
I have several numbers of plumbing issues like that one way or the other will solve for people as well.
Because I have a fear of though they are professionals, but if you are not involved in the process and the design of the infrastructure from the beginning, you may not give me exact, even though you are a professional, you may not be able to give me the exact as-built drawing, so to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have experience like that and you've gotten an exact as-built drawing after the infrastructure has been done.
No, what for my former company then, what we normally do is that when we give you a project, it's always we mobilize you with 20%. Along the line, we give you another 30%. Then when the project is completely completed, there is something we always call retention period.
Okay.
We hold 50% of your total money, total project cost. Because after the completion of the project, there must be one or two variations and everything. So when we sum up everything together, we will hold 15% of the total project cost during retention period. And during that retention period, there are one or two maintenance and you'll be the one that will be responsible for it. Then before we're going to pay you that 15%, you must give us, it's part of what you are going to submit as built drawing. And when you are submitting that as built drawing, the company engineer that supervises that project alongside with you must sign that is the exact as built drawing. You don't know that you are just going to be any drawing.
Okay, before they give you a job completion certificate.
It's the one that is on ground from day one to the last day of the project. You must sign that as built drawing is correct.
Yeah, okay.
That's what we do in my own company, but I don't know what others do in their company. But to me, that's the best approach. Because once you pay contractors and you are asking for a build drawing, you are just deceiving yourself.
Okay, yeah, it's true. It's true. You are right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. So I really appreciate everybody. Thank you. Once again, my name is Akiola. So see you again on Thursday. Good night.
All right. Good night. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night.
Night.
Bye-bye.